Adam Carroll is an internationally recognized financial literacy expert. He's done 2 incredible TED Talks, and here are his 5 steps to thrive in sales.
People who are in a commission sales job where the money does come when it rains, it pours kind of situation. And I've been in a business for a very long time where there is feast and there is famine, and you're planting seeds. And, how many analogies can we plug in here? But one of the things that became really important for me and my family in being in this lifestyle was deciding that we had a set income level that we were going to live by. And if that is your salary, or that's your salary plus 20% of your commission or whatever it may be, decide that you're going to live at that level for the foreseeable future. And my grandparents always gave me this great piece of advice. They said, live on last year's income. And I took it another step forward and said, I'm going to live on 2 years ago income so that my income is always outpacing what my lifestyle is. And when you do that, it becomes easier and easier to put away 20 and 30 and 40% of your revenue on a regular basis. There are lots of budgeting philosophies. There's a 50-30-20 philosophy where 50% of your budget should be on your living expenses. 30% is to kind of living expenses being your home, your fixed expenses, I would say your mortgage, your car payment, those kinds of things. 30% goes to debt repayment, and then 20% is for savings. I try to stretch. I heard one speaker at one point say, imagine if you could live on 10% of your income and invest 90% of your income. What kind of lifestyle could you create if you were to do that? And we are by no means near the 10% mark, but I bet we live on 30 to 40% of what we make, and the other 60% goes to either blast away debt or build for the future. And we do it very strategically. There's a lot of people out there who are probably doing right when it comes to their financial planner's advice, where they're putting a little bit, they dollar cost average. They put a little bit in the stock market on a regular basis. And, when it's down, they're buying more. And when it's high, they buy less. But overall, it's kind of averaging, trending up. We do it a little bit differently. We want to go at certain things like a laser beam. So when we went after debt like a laser beam and got rid of all of it within about 2 years. And then we had all this extra revenue that we would then put into real estate. So we might buy a property at a time, blast through that mortgage, and then have more cash flow on that property. And then we would start playing with the equity in those properties, where we would leverage the property and invest more. But it seemed like a game for me. It was like, how fast can I fill the bucket up and then drain the bucket? Fill the bucket up, drain the bucket. Where there's a lot of people out there will have 6 or 7 or 10 buckets, and they're putting a little bit in each one every month, and they never really feel like they're getting anywhere. And I think for salespeople, we like some immediate gratification, particularly B2B, where you've got big sales. They may have a long sales cycle. I think we need quick wins, and this system allows you to have some really quick wins with your money. It fits kind of closely with a strategy or a theory I heard that I really like, and it was that at some point in your life you have to pursue mastery in something, and that if you're pursuing mastery in something, you'll get better and better, be worth more per hour, et cetera, et cetera. I think business to business salespeople, if they are truly 100% committed to making the most amount of money they can, it's about figuring out how much can you make per hour, per day, per deal, per month, per year, and focus on how do you get better and better and better at that. And in my own life, that was like, that came kind of smacked me in the face at one point, where I make, really good money per hour as a speaker, and I go out and I'll do keynote events and associations and trade groups and those kinds of things. And I kept talking to some of my friends who were making, 2 and 3 times, 4 times what I was as a speaker. And I would say to them, well, why am I not there? And they said, you're studying some of the wrong things. Like, if you're trying to pursue mastery in this particular industry, come study with some of us that are pursuing this other angle where we can make, $15,000, $20,000, $30,000 for an engagement. And so I've done that. I've started going down a path where my pursuit of mastery is in different avenues and angles. I think we're kind of talking the same thing, in that the goal for any salesman should be figuring out what is the highest leverage point you have and how are you going after that and pursuing mastery in it to get even better. It's Tim Ferriss. It's the 80-20 rule. And for me, it's constantly redefining and focusing on what is that 20% for me? What do I do better than anyone else? And how do I go do more of that at a higher clip? If you're a master salesperson, again, whatever that means, in your industry, you've hit target, you've made your goals, you've made significant revenue. The next step may be to pursue mastery of money. And for me, that was early on, that's what I wanted, was how do I pursue mastery of money? where I understand every facet of the dollar and how it works. And when invested, whether it's in real estate or gold or silver or options or whatever, how do I know that I'm doing the right thing? And so I would say, and I would throw this out maybe as a suggestion for some of your salespeople that listen to this, that love their jobs, can't imagine not selling what they sell or being in a sales role, but maybe, and this is where I find people, they make really good money. They've built a lifestyle that they like. They can afford and they're putting money away, but they're not sure it's enough. Like they're not sure that what they're doing is as much as they could be doing. I would encourage you to begin pursuing the mastery of money, meaning, you're trusting someone to maybe manage and grow that for you. But in the United States, it takes 2 years to get a massage therapist license. It takes 6 months to get a financial planning license. So we have a lot of people who they have a great idea. Maybe they think they're genius at the stock market, but in reality, they're just following the herd. They're doing whatever their bosses are telling them to do. And maybe they don't know. So I think we got to take our money in our own hands to a certain extent and know that we're doing what we need to do. And you brought it up, if and when the stock market collapses, how many people have $200,000 to $500,000 in cash sitting on the sidelines accessible to them that they could dump into, a stock that's typically a very steady eddy that's just going to get hammered by a down market. I think number one, it's understanding that your income is either efficient or inefficient. Okay. And so the numbers that we're talking about really, they boil down to 4 things. So your income should do one of 4 things. It should pay your expenses, which it does for most people. It should decrease debt, which it does not do for most people. They pay their payment, but it doesn't decrease it that much. It should increase wealth. So you're investing and putting it in investment kind of accounts. And the last is you should do good or have fun, right? They're kind of hand in hand, do good, have fun. For most people, they pay expenses and they have fun. That's all they do with their money. And they don't really decrease debt, and they may not really increase wealth more than what their traditional, their retirement contributions are. So I think part of it is looking at maybe your net worth numbers every single month and watching those creep up. And specifically, I would give you maybe 2 or 3 metrics to focus on, Will. One is net worth. So overall, how much are you worth in the market? Number 2, I think it's the amount of debt you're carrying, which should be going down on a monthly basis. And number 3, it's the amount of debt payments per month in relative to your income. So if you have $3,000 a month in debt payments on $8,000 in income, or let's say 10,000 for easy math, 30% of your payments go towards debt repayment. Well, what if you could blast away whatever you have in debt so that you have that extra 3,000 or maybe even your payments get shrunk down to 10% of your income is in debt payments. That's sort of the goal for me, is how much of my income is actually mine to keep at the end of the month versus me giving to someone else for the privilege of having bought something I couldn't necessarily afford in the first place.
Hey, hope you enjoyed that one. Click up here to watch another 5 Steps to Thrive in Sales video. Click down here to watch the full interview where all these clips came from.